Hello and welcome to Transport Fever 2. My name is Pooks and today we'll be starting off a Let's Play series. So I've been streaming Transport Fever 2 a fair bit, got a hang of it, I hope. And I've decided, I'd like to be able to do this as a more structured episodal sort of thing. There's a lot of times when not a lot's going on in this game, and you're just kind of waiting for money to tick up or something along those lines. And it's fun to stream. It's fun to get some people's feedback and that sort of thing. But at the same time, I want to be able to put together sort of a playthrough guide for people who want to, just see the shortcuts. Or rather, okay, this is what you do and this is what will happen, as opposed to wait and then see what happens. That's the idea anyway. So today we are going to be starting off a modded playthrough of Transport Fever 2. I like the vanilla, but the vanilla has too much vanilla and I just want some chocolate chips in there, a little bit more variety, and they say it's the spice of life. So if I were to hit continue, then new game is basically the one that I've been streaming up till now. But instead what we're going to do is we're going to do a mix of pre-canned episodes, and we're also going to do where I edit down or edit out the boring parts. And we're also going to do bits where I'm streaming. So ideally, I'm going to be streaming this on Tuesday evenings, my local time about 8:30 till 10, where we will have streams where I'm going through answering questions live. You can catch up with that. Otherwise, we in between those, I'm looking at pre-canned episodes where I'm going after specific goals and canning it up ready for YouTube. So that's a little bit of something for everyone. Now, the streams you'll always be able to watch on YouTube, so you don't get these big continuity gaps. But obviously, the streamers will just see this jump in continuity. So if you do want to check out how we got from A to B to C and now we're at F, then you'll need to, go through and watch a few YouTube videos. Otherwise, I kind of get the sensation that most people watching streams are happy to with those continuity gaps. They realize that it's not always going to be around during those. So without any more ado, let's start a modded playthrough. Now, I have some goals here. I have some goals for this game. I think goals are important here. Is that one, I don't want to go for a one-to-one map size, right? We'll still go very, very large, but we'll make it long. I'm going to make it long in this case. I've got a few mods here, as I said. I'm going to introduce you to those very soon. I'm going to go with medium towns again, and we're going to go with higher industries. We've maxed out water. I'm going to put water back to normal. We'll keep the hilliness where it's sitting as well. I'm pretty happy with that. And yeah, so this will generate this basically. So pretty good. Next up, we're going to go with Europe vehicles, but we're actually going to do a custom one, right? So enable custom game settings. Go to settings, and we're going to enable some mods here. So flick these guys on, and I'll just talk through what these are going to do. So first, vehicles, no end year. Actually, going to turn that off. I want that to progress. We're going to run out of vehicles and introduce new ones. That's fine with me. Sandbox mode. Yeah. Hang on. Do I want sandbox? Change everything. No, I'm not sure. Not sure what that means. I haven't run with these mods. Yeah, I'm going to turn that off. Yeah, I think that might be, change everything without. No costs. Yeah, we're going to get rid of that too. That'd be terrible. Why would we want no cost? All right. So the mods that I'm enabling are not any of these, but rather auto parallel tracks. Makes it really useful in just laying down your tracks. If you want to be able to set up parallels, they're great. Auto signaling, so you've got distance between signals all set out. Really handy quality of life sort of thing. Expanded industry, so things will be tougher, basically. We're going to have a more complicated supply chains necessary to produce things, because I found in my previous playthrough that, things were just a little bit easier. It was a very one-to-one sort of thing. So we're mixing it up. We're making it spicy. More industry levels. So industry can level up further. More line colors just to make it easier to identify lines and just a bit more availability. Natural town growth. So these guys are going to start smaller. They're going to get absolutely gigantic according to what people tell me. And it's going to grow based on my actions. So if I send them more cargo, we'll get more cargo industrial buildings. If I send them more commercial, we'll get more commercial buildings. So it's gonna mix things up. And finally, regional airports, because I want to be able to have 2 runways. That's the big beef for me. Like 1 runway for an airport, who has that? Some of the biggest airports in the world will have more than 1 runway. So hence that 2, 2 seems like a good compromise. Now, we're going to go with European vehicles. The environment is going to be temperate. We're going to go with a tropical climate though. The difficulty, we're going to pump up to very hard, right? OMG. I started off with hard, and to be fair, it was hard. But it's not enough. We must have the hardest playthrough ever. Hardest mod playthrough. So, wish me luck here. Because things might go bad. But that's going to be our settings. I'm just going to save that. We can see it's very hard here. Now, with my target, I'm going to turn off industry closure. And I'm going to disable the density target. So we're not going to get new ones. We're not going to have them appear. We've just got a static map. I much prefer it, I think. And then up to 6 cargo types for individual towns. So I could go 4 to make it a little bit easier for myself, but no, we're going to mix it up again. So we're going to go for the most complicated playthrough ever, which of course is going to make things harder for us. That's the idea. We're going for a complicated challenge here. So let's hit the start button. Oh, actually, we'll just go back 1. Here's the seed if people need it. I've just gone with the auto-generated one. I have no idea. So, if you want to play along, grab the seed and welcome aboard. Choo choo. Alright, the loading screen has ended and we are back. Welcome. Now the first thing we're going to do is hit space. Pauses the game for us and allows us to have a bit of a look around. So here we are in the wonderful world of Transport Fever 2. We have a gigantic map. It is very, very long. And yeah, this is our plot of paradise. So what I'm about to do is go around and go away tips. What I'm going to do is just hunt down these settings. Give me a second. No idea where that setting is. Alright. So what I'm going to do is, and what you should do in your own playthroughs, is have a look around the map to identify some good runs. So this is the first sort of thing you've got to learn about Transport Fever 2. So as an example, when we're transporting cargoes, it has to be, or setting up cargo transport routes, it has to be complete runs. So we've got the opportunity here to put coal to the steel mill, as well as iron ore to the steel mill, right? So you might think that'd be enough, but what you actually then need to do is send that steel somewhere else, and it needs to end up being a consumption sort of thing. So if we were setting out this route, and it'd eventually fill up with steel and it wouldn't go anywhere, and we'd stop making money and we'd start losing money, in fact, and it'd be really bad. So for a complete run here, we'd actually need to produce steel, then send it to goods. We'd also need to produce plastic and then send those goods somewhere else to a town that wants goods. So for example, Norwich, in order to get a complete circuit going. So that's something to be really, I guess, watchful for, that you do need to do complete transport solutions, where there's no partial transport solutions in this game, right? Another good thing to be aware of is that you want to go, you don't want empty trucks or empty trains or empty ships or planes going about the place. You want them to have full loads going both ways, ideally. And that'll become more and more obvious as we go through, and you'll see how I set things up. As you can see, we've got a few different resource types. Things can get quite complicated. Like in this case, we need meat, coffee, and alcohol to produce food. I have no idea what they're producing, but that just sounds weird but delicious. So, or in this case, where we're producing construction materials here, we've got a lot of mix of materials versus we've got a very simple one up here. So it's mixing up between simple and not simple, but not simple also produces more here. So we've got different rules in that. Yeah, okay, it wants one of these things, I think, to produce food. Go away, tips. As opposed to all of those things where we should get it with steel, for example. See, we need all of these to produce steel, whereas this is the ore symbol. So meat, ore, coffee beans, or alcohol to produce food. I'm not sure how alcohol becomes food, but okay. Or coffee becomes food for that matter. Hang on. Yes, coffee is life. Okay, so I'm going to go away for a second here and just have a look around the map. So I'll pause the recording and find where some good places to start, as opposed to just doing that on screen. So this, where I'm doing you a favor, cutting out the boring bit, right? I'll see you in a second. Okay, welcome back, folks. Just a snap of fingers for you, a good 5 minutes of intense staring for me. Right, so where we're going to start off with is up in this little corner up here. It's nice and snug up here, but we have room to grow. Now the reason why we're starting up here is that we've got Wellington here, which demands fuel. We also have Newport Pagnell, who also wants fuel. Fortunately, we have a fuel refinery up here at Northwich. But then we also have the oil refinery here, as well as an oil well here. And then on the right-hand side, we've got that same sort of thing happening, which is kind of cool. And it's kind of cool for the reason that what we can do is set up a truck or a train. I'm thinking train. Train could be deadly. Trains are deadly when you get it wrong, right? And they cost you a lot, and it'll be game over for me, and I'll have to start this recording again. But if you get them right, they make big bucks. So we transport the oil to the refinery, drop the oil, the crude there, and we get refined oil. We take that refined oil up to the fuel refinery. They refine that into fuel for us. And then we take that refined fuel and we get it all the way back to our crude, so that we're full on each trip, or at least, we don't have an empty train. That's emphasis here. You recall me saying that earlier. And then we can truck that fuel down to Wellington. So that is the idea that we've got going on here. We've got a nice little route. It's all set up. And then once we've got that going, then we can start supplying it from another perspective as well, in that we can start getting, okay, well, we'll get that crude up into this refinery, and that refinery can send refined oil here, and then send fuel back, and we can truck it down into Newport Pagnell. That is the idea. So we've got two things that want fuel, and we've got this opportunity to service them both. Another opportunity would be that if I, for example, somehow got food sitting up here, instead of doing this supply run, I'll get all my fuel down here and then send the fuel down to Newport Pagnell, and then come back with food and then truck both fuel and food down into Wellington, right? If I can get food over to Newport Pagnell. Having a train like that would also mean that I can set up a passenger service between the two places and things just keep on steamrolling and growing and it'll be fantastic. But it's also a dangerous option, right? So danger here, Mr. Robinson, because if I get it wrong, I'm going to spend a lot of money and it'll be game over for me. But let's get started, shall we? So, let's see if I can learn to zoom, shall we? So we've got this little place here, and what we want to do is start off with our train station. We're going to go with a cargo station. We are going to start setting it up as being a little bit longer, because we'll want this, and I believe these cities, while they start smaller in the natural growth mod, they will go to be ginormous, like they'll envelop things, so I'm just very cautious sort of about that at the moment. Okay, so the thing is, most people would do the, I guess, a rookie mistake that I've done, certainly when I was learning this, is put a terminus here. But ultimately, we might actually want other things coming in here and passing through and that sort of thing. So a terminus would seem to be the wrong way to go. You can also see when it highlights, that means it's in catchment, which means that this train station can pick up goods from that refinery. So we're going to go with cargo station instead, or the pass-through variety. And you can see when I drop it here, we got some goodies happening, right? Now I've got this mapped to Q and E, but the defaults are M, N, and M, and if you hold down Shift, then you can just do incremental ones, or without it held down, then you can just do larger ones. So we're going to drop that here. 278 seems like a good deal. Now we will want this coming up along here, and we've kind of got the option to either run through on this road, around the left-hand side, which might be a little bit neater. I'm just thinking if I've got more rails coming through here, like this to here, then I'm probably want it on the left-hand side, so we'll run with that. Unfortunately, there's a little bit more slope up here. It's not ideal. I can create a road to connect this in. In fact, I think that's what I'm going to do. I kind of want it down. Maybe not. Because there's no reason for it to stop here. It's just where I want my rails, right? Yeah, I think if I just polish these out, I'd actually do it like this. And we can see there's a big chunk into the mountain here, which will cost us a lot, so we want to avoid that. We will drop this here. So there's no real wrong way to do, or right way to do rails, but there's plenty of wrong ways, basically. So we want to just keep an eye on how we proceed with that. We'll just hook it up here, so that will be in catchment. You can test, usually build the road first to check, but within this distance it's going to be okay, right? But if you place it, then there's no undo button in this game, right? So you're going to pay for it, and you're going to get a partial refund. And then the final one that we want is this guy up here. Now, these roads are all kind of inconvenient, so I'm actually going to remove those. Because really, I actually don't need them. There's no real need for these industrial links to be there. The game will complain if you get rid of a main transport link between cities, so don't do that, because they'll just build new ones. But on this sort of thing, then we're good to go. And I'm just thinking through, so we might still want a pass-through situation here. So what I'm thinking is that I'll put it here, which should be close enough, I think. Let's follow my own advice, right? That's sometimes a smart thing to do. You know, do what I say. Yeah, see, not in catchment, so I've got to be a little bit closer. We'll put it here. Now, the reason why I've done this is because I might want additional stations piling up or ways here. The other thing that I've just realized that I haven't done right is that this one, I actually want this to be a double platform. So we're gonna chuck some rails here. We can expand just by configuring, so it's no biggie. Just put in some cargo platforms, right? So now we've got a double platform. There's two places where the trains can stop and drop off and grab stuff. Now the reason I'm doing that is because this will produce things at a rate of 600, right? It'll produce a barrel. This, however, needs 2 to produce 1. And then this guy does 1 to 1. So for every 2 things transporting from here to here, I'll need 1 transporting from here to here. Which means that I really want to separate my lines out for this to be as profitable as possible, basically. Now, a lot of players will also tell you, get rid of your loan, the interest will kill you. No, it won't. I mean, it can, but it won't as long as, see, there's a caveat in here, as long as you have made sure that your things are profitable enough, right? So that's the key to this game, is maximizing your profit and making good use of it. So trains going uphill takes a lot of power. So we want to try and work with a contour map to reduce the amount, especially in the early game. Ideally, really, you want things as flat as possible. The other thing is, if I go too curvy, you can see that it reduces the maximum speed that we can go on those lines. Again, early game, not too much of a problem. Later on, absolutely a problem, because you want things to go faster so you can make more money. So we're gonna, so there's gonna be a max here. Wherever I drop this dot is gonna be wherever it puts things. So it's, you know, gonna build tunnels or whatever to make this as smooth as possible, basically. Sometimes it's worth the investment. We'll just go to parallel tracks here. Actually, so we might go. What happens if I do this? I'm hoping it's gonna parallel to the left. I haven't used this mod before. This could go horribly wrong. I think what I'll do is maybe take a safer sort of one while I get used to parallel tracks. And that way I won't shoot myself in the foot. So we're going to start hooking these guys up. Now you can see that it's now trying to, yeah, there we are. 120. Yeah, it's paralleled here. Okay, so it's going to the left. That's alright, I can deal with the left, as long as we remember that. Keep left in a game where everything will try and keep right. Simple, right? Oh dear. Now it's cutting in a fair bit into the... Minimize that? Not really. Alright, we'll just deal with the increased cost. Yeah, yep. So rails are obviously expensive to place. Trains themselves are quite expensive too. So just be aware of that. You really want to get them right. And then we have 2 railway tracks here. I'm just going to get rid of that parallel, get rid of our contour lines here, and just make these hook up themselves. So I'm taking the early investment sort of route here. Now I'm also going to make these one-way tracks. So what I want to do is just do this little thing here, where we've got like a cross sort of section, so that my trains can turn around. Is the idea. So they're going to come here. The game has this reality bending thing where there's no loop required at the end. They can just turn around while they're in a station. They can't just turn around while on a track. So if I make this one way this way, one way this way, without this crossy thing here, then they wouldn't be able to turn around and go back. Whereas with it, they can, right? And we'll work through that a little bit. Now, we're going to go back to parallel tracks here. Spend the dollars to get us mill. Is it going to be expensive? It's worth, we might go back to contour actually. So it's worth moving the cursor around just to see if you can get a good deal. We want to keep the max speed up as much as possible. And that's placed it there. Bear in mind, I'm laying duplicate tracks here as well. So, yeah, maybe go to there. And if you do longer distances, it's just gonna kind of even everything. So you can see here, it's just building up road or bank, which will cost you. Whereas if you tell it to do a shorter distance, it'll follow the lay of the land a little bit more, and it generally is cheaper that way. So you can make things, but of course it's going to slow down your trains if there's too much incline all the time. So it's well worth sometimes just to tell it to do that sort of thing. Because you've got to play the long game, and you don't want to be relaying tracks if you don't have to. At the moment though, cash will be at a premium. We don't want to go bankrupt too quickly. So we'll lay out as far as here. We should have double lines, yep. Turn off our parallel tracks. That's a mod, by the way. And then we'll just tell these guys to come on in and join up. Alright, we have stations. Fun times with stations. We've even got a tunnel already. Alright, so we are going to want a train depot. You can put these pretty much anywhere. I'm going to put mine around here. And yeah, just looking for a good place to put this. It's not going to eat into my budget by putting it into a hill. I chuck it here. Grab these and just make sure it's connected to my trap. There we are. Cool. We can now let trains onto the tracks. Now, because what I said before stands, we need to do a complete circuit here. Otherwise, it's not going to send anything anywhere. So we need to do a truck route into Wellington here. So we go to trucks and we're going to go to buildings, and we're just going to see where they need it. So we've got a commercial district that wants bread, and then we've got this industrial district that wants fuel here. So yeah, we're going to put a truck stop about here. And then in terms of moving this stuff down, we'll want a truck depot here. And what I think I want them to do, it's gonna mess around with roads for a bit here. First, I don't want to keep ownership here. I just want to build a road, and then I want this. I'm gonna keep ownership here. And this road up here, do that. And the reason I'm doing that, because otherwise they're going to go down through here and make a lot of noise for local residents. And the residents don't like that. That is actually a growth factor. It messes with your emissions. Instead, I can direct them to go through this route instead. In fact, just to make sure that they do. Demolish down that little country road. And voila. That way, we've got a straight line. Now, these sort of things will mean that our vehicles will slow down as well. So we want more of a curvy road here, just to help with things being fast. That intersection probably can't really be helped. Yeah, we're good with that. In fact, you know, because we're going to be using that intersection first. Let's do that. And then later on, if I need this, then it'll be all good. We'll work with it. Cool. Building wise. So we will want a road depot, which I'll drop in. Why not here? Why not? Doesn't really matter. Yep, definitely a road depot, not a tram one. That would be unfortunate. And we want a truck station. So this dude has an entry and exit point. So what I want to have happen here, I want trucks to come in from here and then exit out another point. So we'll do this, and then straight away I'm going to configure this guy and get rid of this thing here, and we're going to go station station entrance. Yeah, I want it there though, so that's not good enough. Refund me. Sometimes we want these to expand out, so just kind of be aware of that when you do it. Drop it there. We'll go configure. Let me configure. Please let me configure. Yeah, there we are. Wondering what was happening. Refund that out. Entrance here. What? We're just gonna kill that road. And we'll put it back in. Entrance here. And we'll do an exit out there after I've put in a few more cargo platforms. Because it could end up with a fair bit of fuel waiting here. And I don't want it to lose fuel. If things get overwhelmed, it will lose fuel. Alright, back to our road. Just gonna do a road like this. Right, and then a little connector here. Beautiful. Alright. And finally, road connection here. So trucks will come in. They'll... Oh, I think they're gonna do a loop because they keep right, don't they? No! That's alright, we can fix this. We can configure it so that instead our cargo is on the right here. And then we get rid of these ones. Much better. Okay, so trucks will come in, they'll pull up here, they'll grab their fuel, and they'll go out here and then go down the road to Wellington. Specifically, they're going to go to our truck stop, sorry, not tram. Now, the final thing that I need to do here is set up a few signals, I believe. So first signal I'm going to put here, we're going to say yes to one way. I'm going to put this guy here. I'm going to auto signal every 500 meters, seems legit. So it should, oh yeah, auto signal every half kilometer and just build multiple signals for me. Should, didn't, right. We want you here. Just go no for the time being. I think I maybe need to set up some boundaries first. The blocks. And you're coming in. And then over here, we want to put this signal a little bit further back than this one, so the back end of the train can get past before it lets anything else through. Yeah, we'll just keep doing this. Oh, wait, I need an interchange here. So we're going to go with tracks. Here. And here. Right, so am I saying right is forward? Yep. And this is this way. Beautiful. All the way up to here. that, and then that. And then we'll go with auto signaling again. Just see if it will do this properly for me this time. Why aren't you? That's what the mod should do. 300 meters. Mod, why have you abandoned me? You were meant to make my life easier. Instead, you're just making me look like a fool. Oh well, we'll just turn that off. I won't be able to get this as accurate to make it ultra efficient, but I should be able to get it somewhere there. So as you can tell, we're spending a lot of money. We've spent 3 million already just setting up as far as we have. Yeah, so this is why that mod, when it works, is good, because, you know, a lot less clicking. Cool. We should be pretty well set up now. The only thing that we're going to have trouble with is that our train from this depot won't be able to get onto this line, so we're actually going to create a second depot for when we need trains. Now, your first point is actually going to be going up that way, so we'll drop you here, grab some tracks, chuck you onto the track, and then we'll also put a signal here just so it's not going to interfere with that block. Wunderbar. Alright. Now, next thing I'm going to do is create lines. So lines are how you determine where things are going to go around in Transport Fever. So I'm going to go New Line Manager. Go to Line Manager and go New Line. And I'm going to call this T for Train, or R for Rail actually. We're going to go crude to, what's the name of the place? Let's get the name first. Wellington. So R Wellington crude to refinery. Now we're going to give it a station here and a station here. We'll give it that lovely black color of crude oil. And we're going to do some configuration here as well. So on my filters at Wellington, I'm going to tell it to not load anything unless I tell it to, and it's going to load crude here. Now Wellington East, I'm going to tell it to not load anything, but it can load fuel. Right, so it's going to unload everything it's always got. It can load fuel on its way back. So that'll get me crude here and fuel back. Now the other thing is that should be going to number 2, which is good, and I want the other line to be focused on line number 1. So that's what we're going to set up now. So another line here, Wellington East to Northwich. So R again. So Wellington East to Northwich. Fuel. We'll give it like a little fuel sort of color. It's the color of the icon. Now that should be working off platform 1 down here. Yep, it is. Brilliant. Fantastic. Okay. Now the final thing that we'll want to do here to get this up and running is put in some trains and some trucks. Oh, not final thing, sorry. Final thing. Final line, sorry, is that we want to get fuel down to Wellington here. Alright, so we'll call this a truck line. You don't need the T's, you can do your own system, it's fine. And so Wellington fuel run. And we'll leave it with this kind of reddy color. We'll make it a bright red maybe. And basically it's just going to pick up fuel here. You can see it's just going to run through. It's not going to do strange loops. You've got to pay attention to that. I nearly stuffed it up before. And drop off fuel down here. Now, unfortunately, it is also trying to take a run through the streets, which is exactly what I didn't want. So what we might do is just pop down a little bit of a waypoint here, and then here. We're going to edit that line. So after King Street, hit the waypoint. Yep, brilliant. Now it's going back and it's avoiding all the residential areas. We'll just refund this one because that's the one we didn't need. Okay. Trucks. I'm going to buy some vehicles. We're going to buy them last because at the moment we don't need them. We might just have one just to make sure that it is going to do stuff. We have all these different vehicles that, you know, are available, but we're going to go with the fastest that carries the most, which is this one guy here. So we'll just set him on the line straight away. Vehicles are pretty easy, or trucks are pretty easy to set up. Trains are a little bit more complicated. So go to our train depot here, and we want one for the crude oil. What train do we pick? So for cargo, generally looking for high tractive effort because they've got to pull a lot and a reasonable speed. So those are the two sort of areas that you need to pay attention to. What I'm going to go for in this case is just go to steam locomotives. I think it's the BR53s. Let's just check these out, right? So this has a lot more tractive effort and a higher top speed, but it costs a lot more, and it costs a lot more to run, right? And we've got limited funds at the moment, and we want to get, you know, maximum bang for our buck. So we're just going to get one of the BR53s, and then we're going to attach cargo to it. So we go to cargo wagons, and immediately we've got two options. We've got the smaller, cheaper ones, or the bigger ones. They're more expensive though, right? So it's not that bit of an increase. So at this point in the game, I'm going to go with the smaller, cheaper ones, even though if I could buy bigger tankers. Also, this thing can do 80 kilometers an hour, so but this one can do our train's maximum top speed. So we're not really gaining too much by having the bigger carts at the moment. Later on, it would make more sense. So we'll add these in. We'll just give it 4 to start off with, because I'm going to have to buy a few of these. And it's going to cost me 1.3 million. Buy that one, and we're going to immediately set it on the crude line. And the train itself, we might also give it a color. We should be able to. Yep, color. And we'll give it the black, because it's on the crude. The next thing is we'll need a similar vehicle over here. Steam. Yep, it was the BR53. 2, 3, 4. We'll buy that vehicle. We'll set it onto that line. It's going to waste a little bit of money because it won't actually be able to grab anything for a while until this one's done it. But that's basically how we set it up. I'm just going to change the date speed to be 1/4, so it's pretty slow as we go through, so we're not changing vehicles all the time. And then we'll set it to play. So a heap of things going to happen now that we've done all our setup. And let's see how this looks in, say, about 6 months' time. I'll see you in a snap. And we're back. So our trains are up and running. You can see there's a few of them around. We're just passing one right now. We've got these guys all nice and shiny and black. You'll note that I've added a few more tankers to them. as well. Basically, I beefed up the capacity after realizing the first one would really not do too well. Essentially, it came here, it loaded up an oil full load straight away, and then was able to go away, and it was going to pile up again. So yeah, I added another train straight away so that we have full capacity running up to our train station here. So how are we going financially? That's the big question. We are on very hard, so the margins are razor slim in this instance. So you thought hard was hard, then this is hard. So if we look at check out an individual train, you can see that we're just kind of making ends meet on this particular one. Each year we're getting enough to just make a little bit over on this particular train. And if we look at the other train here as well, it's about the same. It's had a few bit more success. This one's actually managed to carry back a bit more of that fuel as well down to our fuel station here, and it's being trucked into Wellington. In terms of our other train guy over here, the bright orange train, you know, lovely fuel, explosive sort of thing. It's having a little bit better because it's more often got full loads back and forth. So bearing in mind that on average these guys will only have a half load coming back, even if they do have a full load going out. So you can see straight away we started losing money, which is typical when you start setting them up. But now that it's starting to, we're getting things operational, we're getting fuel coming back. We are running out of fuel each time as well. We've got a new vehicle available. We'll just skip over that. We're running out of fuel each time, so we could definitely service this line a little bit better, which would mean the provision of another couple of vehicles as well. But we're certainly getting full loads in here and about a half load back, which makes sense only when we realize the shipment here is 45, right? And that's because the demand downstream, we have a supply need of 49. So that's basically per cycle or tick or whatever you want to call it. So we only have a demand for about half of this. So as a result, we're not shipping out. The factory is determining that it only needs to work at a kind of a certain speed. I'm pretty sure it's not going to oversupply things and just back it up. I think that's how it works anyway. You know, a lot of confidence if you're looking at this as a guide to play it and you're just like, what do you mean you think that's how it means? I'm relying on this, man. Playing them very hard and you're just kind of winging it. Yeah, that's how I roll sometimes. So, but I think my guess is pretty good because that shipment means that ultimately we're just shipping a small part of it down to Wellington. So that means the other part of it we could be sending down to Newport. Pagnell is our kind of other option here. And that would give us a demand for another 30 fuel. Now, as Wellington grows, though, its demand for fuel will increase. So you can see even now it's ticked up to 49. So we're going to be okay. As soon as you start servicing these places, then things get a little bit better. Things get into more demand, and you know it's going to be okay basically. Now, what we might have here actually is all our trucks now, I'm pretty sure, are coming in with full loads. They're a little bit, you know, most of them aren't making money, but if we go down here, we can see when they do get a full load, it can do all right, right? It's not terrible. What we probably want is a few more trucks on this line to make it reasonably profitable. So one way that you can check out to see, well, there's a couple of ways you can check out to see if you're profitable. And once you've set up your first kind of run, you want to give it a little bit of time and then just check this because it's really crucial to get a good start in this game. Otherwise, you're just going to go downhill. So the first way is to click on your account and you can see for each period. So I think it runs on 2 monthly periods from the looks of here. You can see every 2 months, okay, when we first started up, we're losing $1 million. You know, investments a little bit further back when we first started back actually. But anyway, then we started to become profitable. we've got reasonable profits here actually, and the railroad is making some good money. And then in this current period, so starting from January through to March, I believe, of '01, so 1901, we've yet to make any money, but we've yet to have any trains arrive as well, I think is part of the reason here. But we do have things backing up. We have a backup of fuel here, so we can't get enough of it, basically. And yeah, this is consuming it all, but for whatever reason, it's not putting it all on the rail to be sent off. And I'm pretty sure that's the reason, because there's just not sufficient demand online. So that'll change, of course. So our other option, of course, is to get this guy and then start funneling it in, because these won't improve as much as this one. It's got a lot more levels available. So it's kind of a perfect circuit that's going to end up being where it is, and then we'll get, bonkers amount of fuel coming out of that thing. But I'm just going to speed up the game a little bit more. Our main concern here is we've got a lot of fuel just kind of kicking around here. We're going to want to be sending more through as well. So I think we want to increase our trucks that we've got going. I'm going to manage this line. We've got a few trucks here, and we're going to put another 4 on it. So out they come from the depot. Little guys, let's check them out. Yes, me and my top hat are going for a run. Very peaceful. Quite quiet, actually. Just kind of check out the old-timey vehicle, appreciate it, and then move on. You can also press H, and it makes a little honk. So, that's starting us off. We've got some vehicles. Our lines are becoming profitable as well. So that's the other way that you can check out profitability, is you click down on line statistics here, and you can see, all right, our crude run is making us 203 per annum. Per annum? No, per tick, per 3-month period. 241, well, it'll change a little bit. They'll bounce around, especially when we've only got small amounts here. And then 11 per tick as well. So we are making money. The question, of course, is it enough? Because what we do have is loan interest on top of that. So that's why I think a lot of YouTubers, etc., or people who play this game will say, hey, you need to get rid of that loan. That loan is a killer. It's not really. In terms of loan here, we've got $1.5 million borrowed here, and we're paying about 115,000 each period. So that's about 1%, or it's 4% for a full, hang on, just looking at year here. So that's a half financial year. Yeah, it's about 4% per annum that we're paying. That's pretty good interest, really, in the scheme of things when you borrow $1.5 million, right? So we could repay this and get it to the point where we're just keeping a little bit more of our money. The other option is that you can use the money that you get to set up more profitable things. So you do have a ceiling of about, on hard mode at 30 million. I don't know what the limit is here in very hard. So you can pay it down and get rid of that interest expense, and I'm unsure. Probably while I look around, if I've got spare cash, that's what I'm going to do, because if I'm not actively using my capital, I might as well get rid of the interest payments. If I'm going to be using it for something or that's going to make me more money, it's more important to get positive or a greater positive cash flow than it is to take care of your loan. Basically, you have to spend money to make money, right? So bear that in mind when you're planning out things, when YouTubers are saying, hey, you got to pay down that loan, man. It's going to break you. It's not, as long as your lines are profitable. Even on very hard, we're making good money here. Maybe not the mega bucks that you'd see in normal, or even in hard, we'd see metal make a lot more money than this. Um, at the moment, we're pretty solid. And if we keep up this sort of ratio, I know we've just had a bad year here. It's looking terrible. I actually also spent some money on investments, so this is kind of a wrong P&L here, right? Investments don't get counted there; they get counted on the balance sheet. So really, we should have lost $50,000 there. Anyway, but yeah, we're in a good position. Don't stress too much about interest if you have the ability to make more money. And it's important because if you're producing more money than you're paying on interest, then it's a good deal, right? So that's where we're sitting at the moment. And I think this is where I'm going to wrap up today's recording. It's a really good first start. We're on razor thin margins for very hard transport fever with modded, so more complicated routes. So getting something simple or relatively simple started first really helps you out when you're playing on very hard mode and when you're playing with extra complications built in here. So what are we going to do next? Just before we end, what are we going to focus on the next series or next episode, if you will? Then what I'm thinking is that these towns both demand food. So I have the option of finding some way to develop food. I'm thinking this food processing plant, it looks really tempting here because I either need to send it meat, or I can send it coffee, or I can send it alcohol, and it will produce lots and lots of food for me. And then I can send that food to Wellington, and I can also send it down to Newport Pagnell. I can start growing 2 cities as well. And then that food could also be used down in Bridleton if I want to ship it down there, or to Immingham as well. So we've got options to kind of expand out. In fact, we've got meat here, so we could send, we've got fish down the road, we could send meat here, get the meat going up to the food factory, train it up there, and then on the return line, we could send food back here and then transit it down here, right? So there's a really good route right there where we're making use of a train going back and forth, a short truck route and a short truck route to get everything happening for us. And then from there, I mean, we've also got a cattle farm here as well. So if there was grain nearby, nope, there is not, but oh well. And then we've got food coming into Ingham, we've got food coming into Newport, and we've got food going to Wellington if I set all these things up. So it's really good use of everything, really. We want to go double routes sort of thing. Now, I'm not sure about the food into Newport Pagnell. I'll probably actually start growing Immingham first, and then Newport Pagnell will be the next one. I've still yet to work out how I'm going to make this as efficient as possible, because we've got that route here, but at the moment we're like oversupplied on oil over here as well. We kind of want to bump this up as much as possible, and this is going to continue to demand more fuel as well. And we can see it's kind of starting to pile up here. We'll keep an eye on that. We don't want it to overflow, because then we're chucking out goods and we're wasting money. Basically, it's sitting on the table ready for us to transport. We don't want that to happen. And in the meantime, my account, as you can see, we can repay another 500,000, and we just can slowly tick down that loan while I'm not using it. So as soon as I've identified a new profitable line, then I want that capital to start. There is a grain farm, it's right there. I want that capital to start working for me, right? And start using my money to make some more money. Now this is actually a bit of a pain, this sort of area here as well, because there's a lot of a lot of hills for a train to go through, so that's kind of annoying. Um, hmm. But we'll work that out, right? So, next episode, that's what we're going to concentrate on. Otherwise, this is the start to our modded run. I hope you've enjoyed this run. Now, just as a reminder, every Tuesday I do plan to stream this on Twitch on this particular run. So the Let's Play series will kind of be a mix of live stream as well as these kind of canned episodes where I'm skipping out the boring bits so you can just see the magic happen. So bear in mind that that if you want to see the whole thing, come join me on Twitch. I will be exporting this stream, of course, though. So if you're just dedicated to YouTube, I understand. If you can't make the times, completely understand. You're not going to miss out. It's just going to be that those are going to be, much longer episodes because streaming, well, yeah, it's less cut and dried. Anyway, my name is Pooks. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, give me a thumbs up. It really helps me out. You could even, if you're feeling particularly fantastic, subscribe to me. Oh my God. Anyway, thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.